What's up and welcome back to Cine Quickies. I'm Steph SABRAW, sharing the top news stories in movies and TV with you today because I love you and I want you to be in the know because you know I love to share the tea and all that good stuff. So we have a few fun stories on deck for today, starting with Hellboy. It is getting a reboot and a new director, plot, and details have been announced for it. Remember the first two Hellboys? Because I didn't see them. I gotta be really honest with you. I didn't see them, though I've heard they're great. Ron Perlman, I feel like when I see him, I see Hellboy, even not seeing those films, so I feel like that's a good thing. I know Guillermo del Toro directed those two. He's one of my favorite directors. I don't know why I haven't seen it. Like, I don't have an actual excuse for you or a reason. It's not like I've been dodging it or anything. It's just one of those films that I just haven't seen. Okay, I haven't seen it, but let me know in the comments below if you think I should check those movies out. Seeing this article here today by the Games Radar makes me a little interested in seeing those films, and I was doing some research because you know I love research. Hellboy in the one that was released in 2004 has an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty good. And the second Hellboy that was released in 2008, just 4 years following the first one, has an 86%. And I think it was nominated for an Academy Award for makeup. Yep, and it earned an Academy Award nom for Best Makeup. Hey, I didn't lie to you. You don't have to grow in your trust issues. I'm here to be honest with you. Isn't that nice? I promise I'll be as honest as I possibly can be. Sometimes I say stuff and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but in my heart, I'm trying to tell you the truth and share the tea. So let's get into this article. Mike Mignola's iconic independent superhero Hellboy is getting a reboot once again. I have heard this name a lot. Mike Mignola has been talked about in the comic book sphere. Anytime you hear it, I have heard his name. So I'm sure this is exciting for the people who are a fan of Hellboy. Brian Taylor, who is known for Crank, Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, is set to direct this movie from a script by Mignola himself. That's pretty cool when you hear that the person who has created something is involved in what its newest creation will be. I love like the authenticity in that. I think that that's a really good place to start at, especially when we're talking about a reboot, when you want to look at something with fresh eyes and tell it in a different way than it has been told. I think this is a cool beginning to that. The film is set to begin production next month in Bulgaria. That's cool. I feel like it's great to hear an announcement and already they're hitting the ground knowing that they're going to start filming. So that's exciting. That means that the script is done and they're ready to roll. Per deadline, the reboot will see Hellboy and rookie BPRD agent stranded in the 1950s rural Appalachia. There, they discover a small community haunted by witches, led by a local devil with a troubling connection to Hellboy's past, the Crooked Man. The Crooked Man comic first hit shelves in July 2008. I want to know, have you read this comic? Is this one that you would be like, yeah, this would make a really great movie? Like, hell yeah, I'm glad that they're going with this one. Let me know in the comments down below. Crooked Man is a departure from all previous Hellboy films where Mike Mignola and the creator of the comics will finally shepherd an authentic version of his stories and characters in film form. Do you think that's kind of shady? Will finally shepherd an authentic version of his stories and characters in his film form. I wonder what Mike thinks about the Hellboy 1 and 2, the ones that came out by Guillermo del Toro. It sounds like they might have not been his favorite if this is the quote that they're giving us. Will finally shepherd an authentic version of his stories and characters in film form. Am I reading too much into that, or does that seem like shade? I think that's shade. This was said by Millennium Media's president, Jeffrey Greenstein. This is the first in the series of films that will captivate audience in familiar and new ways. Okay, so with that quote alone, we can surmise that they're planning for this to be multiple films in a story, and this is just the first installment. I wonder if they have all of the scripts written or if they're going off the first one, see how it does, and then going from there. Brian Taylor is an expert across the board, and I couldn't think of a better person to bring this story to life, to show our audience this different and original Hellboy slate of films. Okay, so there we go. Just had to continue reading. They want to have a slate of films, which I guess that's to no surprise because we are living in the era of many films, many sequels, never-ending sequels. But hey, if it's good, if you do the job good, I'm happy. No complaints here. Hellboy the Crooked Man does not yet have a release date, but since they're starting filming next month, I would say in the next few years we're gonna get this movie, which is exciting. I think that depending what y'all say in the comments, I'm gonna go back and watch Hellboy 1 and 2, and I'm gonna be excited about this rendition of it. What do you think? For the next story, AntMan and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA dropped this past weekend, and it did exceptionally well in the box office, especially for President's Day weekend. But I don't know if y'all have been on Twitter, but I saw people going in about this movie, and if there's one thing I don't like, it's a hater. I don't mind criticism. Not every film is for everybody, but I did see some tweets where I'm like, yikes, like, who hurt you? Like, you don't have to like this film, but why are you happy that it's not doing well? In Rotten Tomatoes, it is, I believe, one of the lower MCU scores that we've seen so far. It's sitting at a 48%, so that's considered rotten by Rotten Tomatoes score, but an 84% in audience score. So I tend to side more with the audience, although I do love me some critics sometimes, but I do think it is catching a lot of vitriol. I don't know, like I said, it's okay to have criticism, but to just be happy about something not doing well, I don't know, maybe take a walk, sit under the sun, smell the roses, smile. Sounds like you're really not happy with how life's going, but let's get into this article. This is from The Hollywood Reporter, the threequel. Okay, remember when I made the video about this before and I was talking about what's after a sequel, threequel, quadruquel, triquels, quadruquels? What do you call something that's, or are they all just considered sequels? I don't know what I said. I know it sounded stupid, but now I'm seeing it written in a report, so this must be the proper term, or they just made it up themselves. The threequel opened up notably ahead of the first two entries in the standalone series, but continues a recent trend of lower audience cinema scores for MCU projects after a straight A winning streak spanning 21 movies. As soon as Phase 4 hit, there have been more criticism in the MCU films than the prior phases. I don't know if y'all feel that, but I feel that. I've loved a lot of Phase 4. I even loved Thor: Love and Thunder. I know that was one of the movies that caught a lot of heat, especially in the critic world, but they can't please them all. I feel like they're doing pretty good for shooters are gonna shoot, and MCU is shooting, all right? So I'm not gonna hate on that. Director Peyton Reed's Ant-Man and the Wasp: QUANTUMANIA certainly didn't disappoint in its domestic box debut, with the film flying to a 4-day opening of 120 million, one of the best showings ever for the President's Day holiday, and by far the biggest start for Marvel's low-key franchise. It's funny, like, Marvel can't have a low-key franchise. It's freaking Marvel. And it's freaking Paul Rudd. That's America's dad we're talking about here. This is not low-key. Gosh. And you have Jonathan Majors. Have you seen the abs? That's definitely not low-key. Yet the third installment of the Paul Rudd Evangeline Lilly series is still a cautionary win for Marvel Studios and Disney, which are at a critical juncture as Marvel kicks off Phase 5. And conquering hero Bob Iger returns as Walt Disney co-CEO with a 47% rating. The film is tied with Eternals for Marvel's lowest Rotten Tomatoes score, and perhaps more telling, it earned a B cinema score from audiences, one of the few Marvel titles to do so. Okay, so this is interesting. I do think that Marvel is at a precarious part of their lives. I'm making Marvel an entity that is indeed alive, because I do, like I said, I think that they're catching more criticism as of lately, because, you know, it's like the greats catch more criticism. You know who gets a lot of hate? LeBron. You know who probably got a lot of hate, but I wasn't watching basketball at this time? Michael Jordan. Why? Because they're the GOATs. They're great. Kobe probably caught a lot of hate. I know that Messi, even after he won the World Cup, got a lot of hate. And yes, these are all sports references because I can't think of anything else right now, but I'm sure you get what I mean right now. You get me, right? So, and it's interesting because we're at a time where the DC has James Gunn and Saffron at the head of it now, and they're kind of just like flipping it on its head and doing really exciting things, and we're all excited to see those movies. So I feel like there's even more pressure to keep this Marvel high. It's hard when you had something like Endgame that was one of the highest grossing films of all time. Like, what do we expect? They're still making great movies, but are they going to be like a James Cameron and every movie that they make is the highest grossing film of all time? Like, I think they're still okay, but I get the point. I do get that it is interesting that they are catching more heat, and it is important to get people to continue on liking these movies and the shows that they're creating because of the way the MCU is set up. You have to watch everything to be caught up. They say you don't have to watch everything, but you have to watch everything, and you don't really want to watch everything unless everything's pretty good, right? It is like they are playing with fire in that sense, that you do have to keep people hooked enough to continue watching so they can get to the next film. What do you guys think? Are you still good with the MCU? Because I am. I feel like I'm still happy with all the movies that they're giving out. I'm still on board. Yes, it's a lot. I feel like it was intense for a moment with all of the shows coming out in Phase 4 mixed with the movies. I was like, I can't keep up with this. Now that I've gone to the other side, I'm still on board. I'm excited for all of the movies and that Phase 5 has to offer, but I want to know from y'all, how are you feeling about the MCU? How did you feel about the Ant-Man and the Wasp QUANTUMANIA? Did you like it? Did you love it? Was it not really for you? Let me know in the comments below. That wraps up my Cine Quickies for the day. Thanks y'all so much for hanging out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on all notifications so you know when we drop more videos like this and other reactions and all the other cool stuff we do on this channel, and leave a like button so YouTube knows that you liked me. You really liked me. I'm Steph SABRAW. Much love.